You know, there could be any other time for me to make my first video on this podcast, but it has to be now, my debut. Hey, what's up? My name is Hunter, and I am the host of the Great Sports Podcast. Now, what I meant by that is that this being the hardest bit of teams to select my top 8, specifically in the lower column, I've had to really think about it. So what you're about to see is my raw take going into the playoffs of where I think these teams lie. Now, in this channel, we tend to do things different, where we have an 8-team power ranking. However, we do have honorable mentions. So let's get into it. Roll the intro. Alright, first honorable mention of the day. You got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles. Man, they got some issues. Now, let's talk about them real quick. Eagles having an electric season. Obviously trying to run it back, win another Super Bowl after just winning one. However, there's some question marks at the quarterback position, specifically around Jalen Hurts. So, the issue with Jalen Hurts is that they are not utilizing their run game, and instead, they trust Jalen Hurts to throw the ball on third down in a situation where they could run the ball for a first down, but they elect to pass, which every time does not go well at all because, Jalen Hurts is going to blow up the play because he just can't make consistent throws under pressure, and I think that's going to really bite them in the playoffs. Now, huge shout out to them for bearing with it the whole season and managing to win the division, but they got a lot to work on this offseason. And another honorable mention, the Chicago Bears. The Bears. God, man, I would put them higher on this list. I would put them into the power rankings if they had just had success. But they've had some recent failures, which is making it very questionable going into the playoffs if they could even get past the Packers. Now, as a Vikings fan, I hope both the Packers and the Bears obviously lose. But in the current situation, they lost 19-16 against the Lions, making it officially a sweep by the Lions. Props to the Lions. They got swept this year already by the Vikings. But in those turn of events, they also managed to get their own little sweep in the Bears. So while they might suck, they still managed to get the sweep in on at least one team in the division, and that being the Bears. Now, the Bears got a lot to work on too. Obviously, Ben Johnson's their guy. He's proven himself as a coach. But what I'm struggling to picture in my mind is a successful game where it's like they're clicking on all cylinders. Because obviously they got to have some development on defense because their defense is mediocre right now. And their loss to the Lions makes me really think about how they're going to go about the Packers. Because last time they played the Packers, it was a real close game with the Packers having no Micah Parsons and having their backup quarterback. The Packers were able to bring it to overtime. So, if they could barely squeak by the Packers in their worst, then when the Packers are the same team, but they bring on Trevon Diggs, which, yes, a lot of people in that secondary are really questioning if Trevon Diggs still has it in him, which I don't think he does, but we're going to find out on Monday. But if they can click on defense, I'm sure they can squeak the win out of the Packers. But for now, they're in honorable mentions, and we'll see how they do. But at number 8, you got the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers. Man, everyone has them at 7 right now. But what I'm going to personally say is that they got to work on their mediocre defense. Their defense, it's good some days, it's bad some other days, and they're very inconsistent. The Chargers can't be consistent this year to save their life. While they do have a good record, they are just really bad at these must-win games, and it's really stressful to their fan base. Justin Herbert has not proven himself in the playoffs at all. He still has to win a playoff game before even being considered one of the top quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. People have him too high. I think he's a little bit overrated, and there just needs to be a little bit of change going on in this facility if they want to squeak out a playoff win, obviously over the Patriots, which is going to be a real tough game because the Patriots defense is so good. And the Chargers offense is also really good, really freaking good, but they really need to figure out what's going on. Jim Harbaugh needs to form a absolute master plan to beat the Patriots. But my take today is that they're very inconsistent in the playoffs. They're very inconsistent this season. We're going to find out when they play the Patriots. But at number 7, you got the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the reason I put them so high up on this list is because all season they have really tightened up from last year. They've fixed injuries. Yes, there has been some injuries here and there this season, but you got to understand that they have a full healthy team now. And their last loss that they got obliterated in, they were pretty good. However, all season, yes, they are showing faltering, and yes, with the loss to the Seahawks, they need to figure things out on what they're going to do because they got the defense, they got the offense. They just need to figure out how to put it together because they have been struggling. They almost got the 1 seed. I would have saw them way differently, but honestly, it's the same old, same old. Same thing you expect out of the 49ers every year. They dominate the regular season. They have a mediocre end to the regular season. Then they proceed to go to the playoffs, dominate, but then not make the Super Bowl. Now, number 6. You got the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams. MVP Matt Stafford looked like a fraud against the Falcons in Week 17. And I think it's going to really come back to bite them when they realize that their team they really need a consistent run game, which they haven't been able to get lately. And apart from that, Devontae Adams being injured is not helping their case either. And their loss to the Falcons, again in Week 17, is a big no-no. Because now they're going into the playoffs, right? Despite what happened Week 18, with way less expectations than they did going in the Week 17. They went in the Week 17 with a very strong, capable team, yet they couldn't put it together after that Seahawks game, and then things just blew up against the Falcons. So for that reason, I have them at number 6, and honestly, I hope they do better. Now at number 5, you got the Houston Texans. The Texans, they've succeeded expectations ever since their downfall. CJ Stroud has proven to be the guy again. He has shown to be very consistent as a quarterback. And props to Davis Mills, though. He was electric as the backup quarterback. They have one of the best defenses right now. They just need to work on offense a little bit because they have some loose ends there. And it's really up to the coach, D'Amico Ryans, to figure out what they're doing here because I can't see it. Everyone I've spoken to says the Texans have Super Bowl contention in them. For me, though, I need to see it. I need to know. In a perfect game to prove that is against the Steelers coming up. That is going to be the determining game of how the rest of this playoffs is going to go for them. If they can squeak past a team that isn't expected to do anything in the playoffs, then hey, honestly, then they got more to prove. Because then they go to the divisional round, get a real opponent, and we'll see what they can do for the rest of the playoffs. Number 4, you got the Denver Broncos. Now you might be confused because they got the 1 seed. Why am I putting them ranked 4 in the power rankings? Well, it's because all season it's been lackluster. With 1-score games against terrible teams, they can barely beat good teams, right? And they are very overall questionable. Props to Bo Nix. He's an incredible quarterback. He's just being shadowed by mediocrity from a team that barely squeaks by these games. A win's a win. The 1 seed's the 1 seed. And if you can squeak out the 1 seed, that's good enough, in my opinion. However, you haven't shown, and everyone probably is thinking this, they haven't shown why they're the 1 seed. They still need to prove why they deserve to have the 1 seed. They need to click on even more cylinders than they've done before. They need to press whatever that red button is in the divisional round, because whoever they have to play in the divisional round is not going to be an easy opponent this time. This time, it cannot win by 1 score. Unless they do, then I just give up. But this time, they actually have to show something. They have to show up. They have to get the run game going. They have to get the pass game going. And that is the main reason I'm sleeping on this team. I'm putting the Broncos in 4. We'll see how they do. But at number 3, shocking to some people, you got the Jacksonville Jags. Now, people have them at 2 because of their incredible season. But let me tell you, they have the great coach in Liam, right? They have a great Travis Etienne. And honestly, I'm very impressed by how great they've been this year. They've been phenomenal with Trevor Lawrence. He's been slugging the ball. Honestly, I'm surprised that he wasn't the one battling against Drake May for MVP instead of Matthew Stafford. Because, dear God, what a season for Trevor Lawrence. And part for that, the reason I'm putting them at 3 instead of 2 is because they have a very questionable future in the rookie Travis Hunter. Now, people are saying Travis Hunter is already good. He still needs to work on things. He's inconsistent as a leader of this team. And honestly, I think if he can click in the playoffs, then they have it. They will have it. They just got to beat the Buffalo Bills, right? The Bills are struggling hard. And if they can prove themselves against the Josh Allen Bills, then I can promise you the Jaguars are going to go far in the playoffs and maybe make the AFC Championship game. But until then, they still got to prove themselves. But at number 2, you got the New England Patriots. The Patriots. I'm just going to rant at this point. The Patriots, they have been an incredible freaking team this year. Now, beyond what I've seen, the Patriots have Drake May, who's the clear MVP now. Apart from that, this new coach is really putting in some God work ever since their terrible season last year, right? Where they got the top pick again. And props to this coach sticking with it. Because now they have possibly the best defense in the league right now. They have some of the best offensive weapons in Stephon Diggs, obviously, this clear pick. And they got just this whole team built centered around this one game plan that isn't failing at all. Now, they're kind of like the Broncos in a way. They had an easy schedule this year. But I will argue that unlike the Broncos, what the Patriots had are some hardcore games in their games that weren't easy. And it wasn't like the Broncos where even their good games weren't the best. They were still mediocre opponents. The Patriots still had teams like the Bills or some other playoff teams they had to show themselves against. Now, there were times where there was some flashes, like the second time around they played the Bills, where they just couldn't they couldn't get a good defensive game going, and it costed them the game. But I think they can really go far in the playoffs, and I just don't see them losing to the Chargers this weekend. But anyways, Patriots, you got something good going on. The future's looking bright for you. I would look forward. But at number one, not surprising at all, you got the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I might be biased as a Vikings fan, but I don't hear no bell. Sam Darnold, he has the same record as he did last year with the Vikings, 14-3. And like last year, it was the 1 seed battle, right? With everyone watching week 18, the 1 seed battle. This time, he managed to win. And it was against a very insanely good 49ers team in their own stadium in Santa Clara. I believe that this Seahawks team is just simply not losing. There's no way. This team Sam Darnold has over 4,000 passing yards just like last year, right? He's in a position to win his first playoff game, which, sorry, Sam, you couldn't do that last year. But good news is that you didn't get swept by the Rams like you did on the Vikings. You went 0-3 when you were with us. This time, I don't even know what happened the first time they played the Rams, but the second time they took the 1 seed from the Rams. So he's doing something right. I think this team is great. They have JSN, who is lighting it up and is possibly the best wide receiver in the league. And I'm saying that with Justin Jefferson on our team. But I'm being so serious with you. JSN's their guy. Trading away DK Metcalf for their future was the best decision. Because now you got Cooper Kupp, who against the 49ers, he proved he can still do something. The Triple Crown winner can still put a good game up. Apart from that, JSN, he's been the highlight of this team. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they go Super Bowl. Because their defense is also just amazing. This coach, McDonald, right? Isn't that the name of the Seahawks coach? I'm so out of touch with coaches sometimes. I swear there's so many new coaches every year. So bear with me. But this new Seahawks coach is coach of the year. Last year was Kevin O'Connell for the Vikings. I know. Probably. I feel like he deserved it as a biased Vikings fan. Because he put together a masterclass. But this year, this coach for the Seahawks is just something else. He is beyond great. He put together a great team. They had no expectations. The ESPN talk, remember that? And then the Seahawks just went on to do this. The 1 seed and the best team in the playoffs, in my opinion. I think Seattle has not just a bright future, but if they can win the Super Bowl this year, they will prove that this might be the start of a dynasty. That might be early to say, but this team is going to do something great. Just you watch. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. this episode. My name is Hunter. And make sure you tune into our Twitter. The link will be in the description, obviously. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. I know it doesn't look great. I'm going to add more to the background. We're going to have a shelf with all my gear and stuff. We're going to add more stuff on the wall. We're going to have more hats, obviously. Not just these 2 Vikings hats. There's going to be so much to this podcast. I'm going to get a ring light soon for my face. And I'm going to be doing watch parties for games. For this entire thing I got going here is truly amazing. The fact that I'm already up to 55 subscribers or 52, whatever it was, is amazing. I want to thank you all so much for the support. I wouldn't be able to do this without y'all. I'm going to be doing football games, baseball games, basketball games, and hockey games over the years, okay? And I couldn't even tell you how amazing it is to have people just watch my content. It truly means the world to me. But anyways, I'm Hunter. And as always, thank you for watching.